everybody. I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about the idea that we're possibly playing 3D chess in politics and society, culture, and I'll explain that analogy as I go along. But this whole thing with the Islamic bomber terrorist in New Orleans, now I saw that happen, and now I'm seeing a lot of posts and stuff about Islam, right? Anti-Islam, Islam's bad, which I agree with them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to defend Islam or its jihad practices or any of that shit. I don't want them over here. If our authorities were doing a good job for us, they would never be able to do that shit. But they're too busy tracking down people who are basically doing harmless stuff, and that's a whole different rabbit hole. But I'm seeing all this stuff, all this anger flare up against Islam and all that, right? Now, it just makes me wonder, and I feel that anger. I'm not saying that I'm separate from these people. I feel that anger along with everybody making these posts. I'm included in that group. But my point is that it seems to me like this triggered reaction might be by design. Maybe this is what they want, right? Now, if you're talking about division, possible civil war, social strife, anger, all of these things are happening off of this one incident. Now, if this stuff keeps happening over and over again, this strife and this anger will just build. And the thing that bothers me is that will be, if it does go to a civil war, will the people of America or Australia or whatever will be fighting each other. We won't be fighting the people who are causing it. We won't be fighting the owners of the Federal Reserve, the people who are in charge of it all, responsible for it all, can be blamed for it all. They will be sitting there completely out of danger, completely stress-free, while the ants on the ground fight against each other. Now, when I was a little kid, I used to grab handfuls of red ants and throw them on black ants and watch them fight. That's what brings back, this stuff brings that memory back to me. That's what's happening. I would sit back and watch these ants fight each other, and these ants hadn't done anything to each other. They were leaving each other alone until I messed with them. Yeah, I was bored. There was no Nintendo or anything. We just went out and had to create things to do. And I would do that once in a while. But that is reminiscent to me of what these bankers and these elitists do to societies inside countries and inside Western civilization. Now, so I see this playing out, and what is the recourse? What, just to let these Islamic whatever they are come over here and bomb the shit out of us and terrorize the shit out of our country? And I saw a thing in about El Salvador, and how El Salvador was just racked by gangs and violence and stuff, right? And how they got, now I forget the guy's name, but they elected a new president, and he went through and just put his foot down, put the boot down, has troops and police marching through the streets and cleaning up all the violence, getting rid of the gangs and stuff. All right. And he got reelected in a landslide. My question is, I know the answer already, but I almost guarantee you that in El Salvador, they do not have a Second Amendment. They do not have the right to bear arms. They do not own weapons. So they could not defend themselves. These gangs were running roughshod over these people because they didn't have the freedom to do anything about it. Now they've elected this guy to basically, be a military dictator, and we'll see what happens when it's time, when he starts doing stuff that the people don't like and they ask him to give up power. Okay? So keep your eye on El Salvador if you have a mind, if you're curious about it. See what happens in the next election and like that. Because we're going to see if he just pulls back all this military and police force that's running throughout the streets now, marching throughout the streets in El Salvador, if he just pulls them back and says, okay, now, El Salvador is the freest nation on earth. Or is he going to keep them on the ground there, making sure that the citizens obey? And they're begging for it. They're clamoring for it right now because they just lived through all this terror from the gangs. But if they had a Second Amendment, there wouldn't be any terror from the gangs. We don't have gang terror in Texas and Florida and all these pro-Second Amendment states. Why not? All this gang shit is in California, New York, all these places. You know what I'm saying? Where Chicago, where there are tight gun restrictions. And down here in Florida, this is the absolute truth. You can probably look up the video. It's probably saved somewhere. But our sheriffs in Florida get on live TV and tell us if somebody breaks into our house to shoot them. He said it'll save us time. And just go ahead and shoot them. And then, we'll just come collect the body. That's what sheriffs down here in Florida say. So, people don't commit crimes. They don't break into houses like that. I mean, they do, but not on a wide scale like everywhere else. We still have our crimes and stuff down here, don't get me wrong. But we don't have gangs taking over entire towns and shit down here. And then, now I talked about the H-1B visa, right? And the chain migration and all that stuff coming over here, and Elon Musk is for that, except for he said it is messed up and it needs to be revamped. And then I heard Trump say the same thing. He is pro H-1B visa or whatever. Now that struck me the wrong way. How can you be pro-American, pro-America, America first and all this stuff, and then import a bunch of people from outside of America? That's what I'm talking about. There are different Americas depending on your social status, your financial status, your job. We have different versions of what America is. America isn't the government. It isn't the financial sector, it's the people. America first means putting Americans into those high-paying, good jobs, not importing them from Pakistan or India or somewhere else like that. Period. And there should be nothing argumentative about that. There should be nothing crazy about that. I should not get any hate speech. I should not be called a bigot or a racist for that. Now, anybody who would call me these things have to blatantly ignore the fact that Americans are black. Americans are of Indian descent. Americans are Native Americans. Americans are Hispanic descent. We've got all kinds of people here in America. Choose them first. Choose us first, not these people from overseas. So Trump's words on that kind of struck me the wrong way. How he can be in favor of this H-1B visa shit, and I've heard him say several times that chain migration needs to end. Well, end it. You had 4 years to end it before. So end it. And anybody who thinks that it's so convoluted that we can't you're just playing games. You're playing word games. You're playing games with yourself. You're playing games with everybody else. End it. Squash it. You can kill migration completely for 6 months. End it. And then bring it back, something back new that works, that has restrictions, that is fair, that, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't kill American jobs, that is pro-immigration and pro-American at the same time. But they won't do it. Why? Or in Trump's case, he hasn't done it yet. Why? All right, and then Elon Musk, back to Elon Musk, I've heard him recently say that the only way to combat, that is a carbon tax. Now, he wants to carbon tax all of us. He wants all of us carbon taxed to fight against the weather. Now, I've got a real problem with that. Every single thing, every time there's a problem, they want to raise taxes. Every time there's a problem with anything, the problem with tobacco, they tax the hell out of tobacco now. Anytime there's a problem with something, they raise taxes to fix it. There's got to be other ways to combat these problems than taxing the American citizen. Period. That's their only the only ammunition they have in this battle against whatever is to tax us, to raise our taxes, to take more of our money. So what the hell is Elon Musk talking about? That I flat out disagree with on its face. No. So, and these things lead me to believe, to question, not believe. They lead me to question the motives of some of these people that I have basically supported, but with, I've told everybody the whole time, I'm skeptical, and I will call it out. When I see some foul shit, I will call it out. Even if I support that person, even if I voted for that person, even if I, to the bottom of my soul want to believe everything that person says and want that person to do what's right for America and hope and pray that they do, I will still call them out. When it seems like they might be backtracking, crawfishing, being two-faced, I'm going to call them out. We need to raise awareness about this H-1B visa shit. We need to raise awareness about all these Islamists being imported into our country. The best thing we can hope for is that they only take our jobs, that they don't kill us. That they don't just, run around killing us all. That's the best thing we can hope for with this shit, is they only make us take our money and take our jobs and take our culture, not our lives. Is that where we're at in America now? Is that where we're at in Western civilization? Germany? England? We're just sitting around hoping that these people that are imported, that they don't kill us? And the other thing about Elon Musk, again, back to X and the censorship thing. I'm hearing more and more about censorship on X. And if that's the case, then he's just a complete hypocrite. I'm not saying it is the case. I'm not saying he is a hypocrite. I'm saying if it is, then he is. Because he has been touting freedom of speech. Now, having said that, he got into this thing in X, and all of this programming and all of these things were already in Twitter, right? He couldn't just take all this shit out and just break the entire thing. So he's got to work with what was there and dig it out as he goes, as he finds it, have it dug out. He doesn't do the shit. And I honestly don't think he's down there micromanaging, banning accounts or whatever. Number one. Number two is that whenever I see that shit, I'm just skeptical of all of the shadow banning I hear about. I'm being shadow banned. I mean, I was skeptical when it was happening to this channel on YouTube. I wasn't sure that I was kind of, like I said, I reserved judgment until I had actual subscribers tell me that they were unsubscribed by YouTube, not by their own hand. And I've gone to reply to comments, and the comments get deleted by the YouTube algorithm before I can get my reply finished. I've never deleted a comment this whole time I've been doing this. Not once have I ever censored anyone, whether they love me, hate me, don't give a shit about me, no matter what kind of names they call me. I do not censor in the comments. YouTube does. That's a fact. And I didn't want to believe it at first, but it's happening. So I felt the same way. I feel the same way about X. I'll see. There are too many agendas at hand. One, that shadow ban thing, it's clickbait. I'm being shadow banned. You'll see a post. I think I'm being shadow banned. Click on this, engage with this post, so I know that you're out there, that my posts are being seen. So people engage with those posts. And you need so many engagements to get monetized on X, and you get paid. Once you're monetized, you get paid by those engagements. However many engagements you have, that's how much money you make. So there's a financial incentive to claim to be shadow banned. All right. 2, sometimes it's just part of the algorithm, part of the ebb and flow of things. Sometimes you just post some shit and people don't like it, and they don't click on it. You don't get the engagement. And people's first gut reaction is, I'm being shadow banned. It's not my fault. Back to responsibility, right? It's responsibility. Nobody wants to take responsibility. I made a shitty post. I had a shitty couple of days. I made a shitty video, and people didn't engage with it. People didn't like it. No, the first thing that the average person wants to jump to is, I'm being shadow banned. Twitter is censoring me. Because people don't want to take responsibility. They want to cast blame. So that's the second reason why I am skeptical about the censorship on Twitter. And the third reason is, which I've stated before, that I just don't see Elon Musk micromanaging and banning individual accounts. He's got other shit going on. Okay? Now, having said those things, I am not denying it. I'm not saying that there is no censorship, that it's not happening. I'm just saying I am reserving judgment on it until, I get more information. Okay? Because it's just, I tend to, maybe it's me projecting my values and my beliefs onto Elon Musk, but I find it hard for him to be that hypocritical. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, like I say, maybe I'm projecting. Maybe he is a bald-faced hypocrite to the core. I just don't see it from everything I've seen from him. I think there's another and a better explanation right now. But I am not going to have a heart attack from surprise if it turns out to be true. I promise you that. I'm not going to gasp and be taken and be blindsided by it. I'm completely aware that it could be happening, and if it turns out that it is, then I will call it out. But as of right now, I am reserving judgment on that. So back to the 3D chess thing. Who is manipulating all this from above? Because we know for a fact this last administration with, geriatric, just completely brain dead Joe Biden, right? He's a puppet. It was just obvious in this case. All right, somebody else was running his administration. Now, I'm almost certain, 99.999% certain, that the same can be said for Obama and Bush and Clinton. And look at Clinton. Everybody should have seen it back then. He's just running around getting his rocks off in the White House. He wasn't running this country. Bush wasn't running the country, neither was Obama, neither was Biden. There are powers above them that are pulling the strings. And when we have these incidents and these things happen and we get these gut reactions, now I am starting to question my own gut reaction to these things. Is this what they want? Is this a plan for me to feel this way and for me to react this way and for me to post this way? Is this planned out in advance? Because I could do that. I could have some Islamic guy, do some dirt and get people mad at Islam. And that, again, that's not saying that there's no reason to be mad at Islam. They shouldn't be over here. It's not, that stuff didn't originate over here. It's not homegrown shit. That stuff is imported. So I tend to try to look at above and follow the strings up. Who the hell is controlling this? That's who we should be angry at. The people who are pushing these agendas down into our politics, into our financial sector, into our business sector, all this DEI shit coming through these corporations, all this control coming through the financial sector, the stock market, and all this shit. All this shit is flowing down through these big banks. That is the problem. The number one person that I will throw my weight behind 100% is the one who says end the Fed. That is the core of every problem we have, is the Federal Reserve and the power that it exerts over all of our institutions. Starting at the top, the government, the finances, and the businesses, and it comes down through there. Through our education system, through our media, through all these things, through our entertainment industry, through our food, through our drugs and medication, all these different things. All right? All this power and pressure are being exerted through these things onto us to control us. And it's very simple when you just look at the stocks and see who owns all the stocks. Because that is who has control. And then all you have to do is take the next step and see that all these companies who are owned by a few big companies that are just investment companies, these companies lobby our politicians, which is a despicable act. End the Fed, end lobbying. These are major top line things that we need to be doing instead of fighting against each other. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll put that link down in the description, and you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I thank those of you who do that. I sincerely appreciate it. If you're interested in Gen X gear, you can hop over to Redbubble and check out what we have over there. Pretty cool Gen X and Gen X Thinks branded stuff, but I'll put that link down in the description as well. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. Thank you very much. For those of you who do that, that helps out a lot, more than you know. And if you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can head over to the channel page and email us from over there. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.